Welcome to the Euclid Legal Lounge, a podcast helping you on your journey to law school. My name is Sabrina Ruiz-Monroy, and I'm the Associate Director here at UCLA. Each episode, we interview law students, lawyers, and law admission experts to bring you insight and tips on making the path to law school just a little bit easier. This podcast is brought to you by the Utah Center for Legal Inclusion, or UCLI for short. UCLI is a 501c3 nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing the goals of fairness, opportunity, and inclusion in Utah's legal profession. We work to encourage people of all ages and backgrounds to consider joining the legal profession here in Utah. Our episode this week is brought to you by the Utah Podcast Studio. The Utah Podcast Studio is a premier recording facility located in West Jordan, dedicated to empowering creators by providing a world-class environment for studio, video, and audio production. Their mission is to amplify voices with confidence and clarity, fostering a creative space where impactful stories are shared and communities are built. Learn more about them at utahpodcaststudio.com. And for today's episode, I'm joined by Mohammad Khan. Mohammad is relatively new to Utah. Having moved here in 2024, he has been a great addition to the state as he continues to learn more about the legal community. Born in Pakistan and later raised in Michigan, Mohammad comes from a very rich culture and shares strong family values that he carries with him through the present and wherever he goes. Mohammad completed his bachelor's degree at the Central Michigan University and earned his law degree from the University of Detroit Mercy School of Law. His strong academic experience led him to practice corporate and real estate law in Michigan. However, as he began his law journey here in Utah, it shifted, and now he's practicing in family law. While Mohammad is new to Utah, he has enjoyed many of the wonderful natural resources here to maintain a great work-life balance. Mohammad enjoys being active, which Utah is very much known for. So welcome, and thank you so much for being here, Mohammad. We're really excited to have you.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited about this opportunity.
We really want to understand your upbringing, your childhood experiences, your educational experiences that have led you in deciding to practice in family law. So I'd love to know a little bit more about your upbringing, especially you being from Pakistan and Michigan. So if you could tell us a little bit about that, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was born in Pakistan, obviously, like you said, and then I moved here when I was 2 with my whole family.
Okay, you were young.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a baby. That was my first flight, was from Pakistan to
Whoa.
here. Yeah.
Aw.
And so when we got here, I was 2 years old. My brothers were a little older. They were teenagers and whatnot. Okay. When we first got here, we stayed with family when we first got here, trying to establish ourselves, trying to figure out how do things work, how to get into schools, how to do the basic things, right? Like get your green card and your papers straightened out and all that stuff.
Which is really complicated.
Yeah, it took a long time.
Yeah. So your parents just were navigating that kind of blindly then as well?
Yeah. We kind of came here. My parents, I don't remember because I was 2.
You were 2?
So
yeah.
I got the benefit of my parents figuring it all out. And then when they finally got to the point of citizenship, I think I was in 4th grade maybe or 5th grade or something.
It's like 9, 10.
Yeah, like, I was still young. And so I helped them study for their little naturalization test. I remember I was testing them. I still remember one of the things, I think I was telling them Woodrow Wilson. I was telling them like just the WW, like remember he was a World War, like wartime president, and like I just still remember that and joke around with them. So yeah, we got through that whole process, and I was raised in Michigan. I obviously moved here in 2024, like you kind of went over. So my whole life, my whole upbringing was in Michigan. I went to undergrad in Michigan and then law school. So getting to Utah was just was a leap of faith, and it was very random.
Yeah,
very
well,
move.
And I'm sure we're going to talk more about that too. But wow, I mean, you said we a lot. This is mom, dad, and you said brothers as well.
Yeah, so mom, dad, and 3 older brothers.
Well, okay, so
it's
your
4 of us.
baby.
Yeah.
Wow. And what kind of role did your parents have in terms of you even deciding to go to law school? That's a pretty, I feel like not everybody is raised going, I want to be an attorney, you know? So how did you make that decision, and how did they influence you?
How it went down initially is I always wanted to be an engineer. When I was a kid, I was thinking I wanted to be an inventor, I was inventing all these things out of cardboard, tape, whatever it was, just for fun.
Yeah.
So my whole life I was kind of like, I want to be an engineer, and that's what my dad was. He's a mechanical engineer by trade. So I was looking up to him, and then over time, my dad guided me kind of more so over into the law area, because he was telling me, he's like, your personality kind of fits in.
Oh,
You'll do good there. You're a decent speaker. Like you'll have a bright future. Go into law. And he was kind of always pushing me. And sometimes I would even get upset with him and tell him like, I want to be an engineer, so don't tell me, where to
Get
go.
that
What to do.
out, yeah.
But, I'm so grateful that eventually I followed my parents' guidance, because they somehow had this vision for me that I didn't even know that I kind of needed. And I just ended up in the perfect practice of law, I guess, or the perfect field to really enjoy what I do every day. I wouldn't do well if I was in an office running numbers and doing all these kind of things where I wasn't communicating with people all the time, and in court, and really out there just interacting with the community. So,
I mean, I can tell you're a people person for sure. The way you speak, that's amazing. And I'm sure that the way that your parents raised you as well is a huge part of why you are the way you are today, right?
Absolutely.
And what, I guess, were you ever nervous about law school before you even went into law school? Obviously, you made that decision after talking with dad, after talking with parents. Okay, I'm going to go to law school. Like what, what's my next game plan? Were you ever nervous? Did you ever feel isolated in some way as you were navigating that process and applying to law school?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was going completely blindly. Like I had no idea where I was going. I didn't know how the process worked. Yeah. I remember telling my dad, hey, I'll have an undergrad degree. I can go get a job, work for a little bit, and then figure out if I want to go to law school. Because I was kind of intimidated by the thought of it. We don't have any attorneys in my family. Right. The first generation to go to law school. Right. So I didn't have any guidance. I kind of had to create my own mentors along the way. But I was really grateful that my dad kind of just told me, he's like, sometimes you just got to take that leap of faith. Sometimes you just got to go in, even if it's kind of blind. Yeah. You don't really know what's coming next. You just got to go try it. And he's like, if you want to end up there eventually, don't waste time. Don't go somewhere else just to avoid that kind of like fear of law school, or fear of the application process, or fear of the bar exam at the end of it, or whatever it may be. Yeah. And so I took my dad's advice. He said, nope. Like he was really pushing me. He's like, just go straight for it and just give it your all and just try. And so I went ahead and did that. And it was a bit of a painful process, just like learning everything, even the application process. I was like, this is very extensive. I've never been through something like that. So I mean, I had no idea what I was getting into.
And you studied for the LSAT and you did the whole.
Yeah. So I took a prep course during undergrad. I remember between classes and in the summer I was studying for that, or however that timeline worked out. But yeah, somehow made it through the LSAT.
Yeah, I know lots of students get really nervous with that. And honestly, a lot of students will end up taking gap years because they don't feel like their score was good enough. Was that ever you, or did you study for the 10 months or a year and then you're like, okay, I got the score that I wanted. Yeah. There's nothing I have to overcome. Or did you have to overcome any obstacles in that application process?
Yeah, so my score definitely wasn't the greatest. Yeah. And so when I looked at that, and then also looking at the costs of law school and the rest of the process, I was kind of like taken back, because I think I studied for 3-4 months maybe for the LSAT, not a super long time. Probably should have, but I just had no idea. I was like, oh, it's just a test. Like 3 months is a long time, so I just studied here and there. But once I got that score, it definitely discouraged me a little bit. I was thinking, I don't know what I'm getting into, and on top of that, my score is not that great. I'm not going to go to some Ivy League school or anything like that, right? Like it's just it was a lower score than I thought I would get. So that definitely kind of pushed me into that same direction, where I was like, let me start applying to other jobs and just see what kind of jobs I get just with my bachelor's degree.
Oh, so you were actively applying to other jobs.
Yeah.
Was that kind of just like your mentality going, I'm going to create this safety net just in case?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think subconsciously I was thinking, okay, here's a guaranteed route where I can just get a job and just make some money and just start living life and not have to worry about law school and that whole process. Yep. But yeah, like I said, it kind of came back to me discussing with my father as well as one of my brothers. I mean, one of my brothers named Daoud. He was a big influence on me through this whole process. He would tell me, we have your back. What are you worried about? If you fail, we got your back, but you won't fail. And so they would just push me to just go forward. And my dad was the more reasonable, logical kind of person in my life, where he was a little more conservative with the decisions or advice he would give me. And then my brother Daoud was the one who was just like trying to show me that I can achieve things I had no idea I could ever achieve, and kind of expanding my mind to like wild goals I never thought were attainable.
Yeah.
So I had those two forces in my life pushing me forward, both of them for the better, you know, just in different ways.
A lot of people don't have that. And I think that's a huge privilege, and really grateful that you were given those experiences, because I think mentorship, honestly, we use that word a lot in any kind of profession, but when you think about mentors, you don't think about your family all the time. And the fact that you had that, you know, that's the dynamics at home play such a huge part in whether or not somebody can be successful.
Absolutely.
So that makes me really happy that you were able to have that support at home. Well, you applied to the law schools with your score, unless you took the test twice. Did you take it twice?
Just once.
Just once.
Yeah.
Okay. So you kind of did a Hail Mary, and you were like, okay, let's see what happens.
Right. Yeah.
You got accepted, obviously.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like, telling that to your parents, and, you know, just like, hey, this is how much this is going to cost. I'm going to live here. You know, like, what was the process looking like?
Yeah. So I totally did take a Hail Mary. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm that kind of person that, like, you know, I'm just going to take my odds with certain things.
Yeah.
Or take my chances. So I sent that score out. When I got an email, I was kind of shocked.
Yeah.
And it was kind of quick.
Oh.
So I didn't know how long it was going to take. You know, I didn't know anyone else really that was applying.
Well, and it can take a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, we have students from our last cohort from our pre-law fellowship, and they applied October, November, and then sometimes people don't even hear back until like August, the week before school starts. That doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
I'd say it's normal for springtime, but anyways, so you never know how long it's going to take. So anyways, that's what you were saying.
No, you're good. That's scary, actually. I know one of my options did get back to me, actually, 3 days into law school starting. They're like, hey, do you want to switch over? Like, we just accepted you. And I was like,
crazy.
I've already bought all the books and stuff.
When you put your deposit down. Yeah. No.
So I was really tempted because I liked the school better.
Yeah.
But it was a little too late from my, understanding. I was just like, I don't want to deal with the whole switching over. So yeah, once I remember that morning, actually, I just woke up and I was an undergrad and I was on campus, and I just woke up, checked my phone, and I'm like, oh, University of Detroit Mercy. And I just opened the email and it was like, congratulations, you've been accepted. And I was definitely just overwhelmed with joy.
Your life just succumbed to a button that an email. You're just like,
right.
Okay, I got in. Okay.
Yeah. If I hadn't gotten in, who knows what the trajectory would have been like. But I got in there, and I ended up getting into the other one too. So I assume if I didn't get into this one, I only applied to like 2 law schools. So
you only did the 2.
I didn't do like a ton. I just threw my eggs in those 2 baskets, and I was like, okay, let's see what happens. So I would have ended up going to the other one, I guess, just a little later, like a few days late. But yeah, once I got that, I immediately texted all my family members and called them, and I was telling them, I was like, I got it. Yeah, I wasn't even worried about the cost. So I'm like, I'm just gonna deal with that another day, but I'm just gonna enjoy this moment. So it was definitely a morning I remember very vividly. Like I have a picture memory, and I just remember it like in a video form. I'm just like, I woke up, checked my phone, I was like, yes, I got in somewhere.
Wow.
So it was good.
Dang. And when you had to kind of, for lack of better words, come back down from this high of getting accepted, did you have a pretty frank conversation with your parents about the costs, just the living costs associated, the tuition, obviously paying for any kind of books, things like that, maybe a new laptop? I have no idea.
Yeah.
But did you have that conversation? What did that look like?
I did. I had that conversation with my parents, with my brothers. Yeah. And I just kind of told them, like, look, this is how much money it's going to be. So I kind of went back to where I was before, where I'm like, I think I'm going to keep applying for jobs and just see if I get something that pays well.
Okay.
Just go that route still, because I was kind of like thrown off by the costs at first. And my dad kind of did the same thing. He's like, I know it seems like a large cost right now, and it is. He's like, but you will not regret it if you actually make it all the way through. On the other side, there'll be lots of fruits and lots of blessings for you to take care of yourself, take care of your future family, help people and all that stuff. And he's like, you need to just go make it through. You need to take that chance, even if it's expensive. And my brothers, they said the same thing, especially my brother Daoud that I talked about. One of my goals is talk about all the stuff all the knowledge that he's imparted on me through my life, because he passed away last year. So I want to make sure that we carry his name through, so I always bring him up. But he was one of those people that's like, don't think small. He's like, if you think small and you just look at this number and you say, this is going to hold me back, think about what you 10 years from now would say looking back on this moment. And that was a very powerful thing I carried with me to this day. I think about it and I'm like, I have this challenge here. Is this going to stop me? Or do I think me 10 years from now, where do I want to be? And if that person is extremely successful, that person is a role model for the community, the family, or whatnot, that little hurdle can't stop me from getting there, because that would be a shame. So that's the way I view things. And so that's kind of how he pushed me to think about that topic. And as soon as he said that, I had something just instantly click in my mind. And same with my dad. I was like, I got my family supporting me. I got that moral support, and I'll figure it out. So I just went forward from there. I said, okay, no job, no like shortcuts, none of that. I'm just going to go to law school and just figure it out.
Yeah. Rich in the other aspects of your life.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Right.
And thanks so much for sharing that. That's
absolutely. Thank you.
I think that touches me, and family is so important to me. And so knowing that you were able to, you're living your brother's legacy. This is your brother's legacy and your family's legacy. Right. And I'm sure that will also inspire anybody who's listening. And I am really curious. I mean, so that kind of perseverance mindset and that very like grit mindset that your brother Daoud was talking about, what kind of obstacles did you face when you got accepted and now you're in law school, right? Any obstacles that you were like, okay, wow, this is hard, what was difficult about law school, and how did your brother's mantra of persevering help you overcome those obstacles?
Yeah. I guess one of the first things was obviously just the workload. I've never worked that hard in my life and still fall short from my expectations, Whereas like in undergrad, I would work hard, but it was a little bit more last minute, and I would do great. I'd get the A's, I'd get whatever, pass, and it'd all be good. And I would work hard, but I never worked hard every single day and still be a challenge during exams, So that was definitely a wake-up call where I'm like, okay, I got to work smarter, not just hard, because it's not working, the way I thought it would. And secondly, I think one of the really big challenges was a lot of my classmates, or some of my classmates, had like a lot of connections already. Their family members maybe owned law firms. Right. They already had the internships lined up, or they just had connections through whatever means it may be. Maybe they had cousins, uncles, or just friends in the community that already had positions that they could kind of guide them towards getting those big summer internships and things like that. I had no idea what I was doing. So what I did was I tried to just really perfect my resume and my interview skills. And over my first year, I was really trying to land a good summer internship, like a really prestigious one if I could. And
just through like the OCIs or on-campus interviews for anybody listening. Did you score something that way, or did you kind of just...
I tried. Yeah. I didn't even get an interview on OCIs.
No way.
Not even a single interview.
Okay, wait. I'm just going to, I want to feed off of that. There are students listening that are in law school right now. A lot of them actually just finished their first semester. And I've had conversations with them, and they've been very transparent. Sabrina, I did not do as well as I needed to do, and I didn't get a summer associate position. And they're freaking out, and they think that they're not going to be successful. What do you have to say to those students that are freaking out, right? And that didn't land something like you did when you were at that point. Yeah,
I will say I could talk about this for weeks, but I'm going to try to narrow it down. Yeah, there's definitely like a sense of hierarchy in law school, and when students are getting those prestigious, summer clerkships or whatever they're called. It definitely puts pressure on you. You think you're not going to be at the top of your game one day or whatnot. I will say to those students, it means something right now if you can get one, for sure. It'll help you financially or whatever it may be. But later on, it's really not going to matter. After your first job after law school, it won't matter at all. It all depends on how you do once you get out of law school and start practicing. My experience was, my tip would be, go crazy with your applications during law school outside of OCIs. What I did was I was applying on the law school platforms and the OCIs and everything. I got little to no interest there. I got a few interviews, I think, through the law school platform for internships. Yeah. But I applied for I forget the exact count, so I don't want to misrepresent it too much, but I think I applied for somewhere in the ballpark of 1,500 internships and jobs. Yeah, over the whole year.
Did you just have like a massive Excel sheet or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Actually, okay.
It was actually on physical yellow pad, though.
Whoa.
So I was writing it down every day. My goal was to knock out a certain amount. And I would literally, when I would get done with my homework, I would go change my resume for each different job that I was trying to apply for internship. And I would just apply to a bunch. And I almost turned it into a hobby or like a game. Because I was like, okay.
Or like another job, it sounds like.
Yeah, pretty much. Through the weekends, evenings, I was like, let me just apply, shoot all these apps out. And then whenever I got an email back with interest, it was super exciting. I was like, oh, I just sent out this many and I got this many responses. And I remember I had a pretty heartbreaking situation a few times where there were some prestigious roles that I made it to the absolute final round. And it was like between me and one other person. And I didn't have the best grades after my first semester. So if we're talking about those students that are watching right now, don't feel discouraged like I did, because I didn't know what was on the other side, and maybe they don't either when they're watching this. But like when I made it to that final round, I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to get this prestigious role. I'm going to move to San Francisco. They gave you housing. There was like really good pay and everything like that. And I didn't get it. And then I got a personal call from the board and they're like, hey, we really liked you, but it was just between you and one other person. And they were just a little bit better of a fit for us. And they took forever to get back to me too, because they said it was a hard decision, I guess. So that I was riding on that. Once I got to the final round, I was like, I know I interviewed well. I'm going to get this. And I didn't get it. So then I just kept rolling with the interviews. I ended up getting 2 pretty decent roles. One was remote. It was at a personal injury firm in New York. And so it was a pretty good one for my resume. It looked good. It was good experience. They were good people. And then another one, I just worked for a nonprofit in the energy sector. So I learned a lot about nuclear energy on the policy and law side. So I just ended up in those 2 random spots.
Ones,
and got to do them both remotely. So.
I mean, if anything, I feel like that's given you've gained these perspectives, and so you're like, okay, I do want to practice that. Maybe I don't want to practice that. But I mean, it sounds like you literally turned it into your job. So I mean, I think that's really practical advice for these students. Is number one, the grass is greener on the other side, and to not, I guess, pigeonhole themselves too, and put themselves down. Like law school's hard enough, and obviously there is this sense of, I think, elitism in law school that is very much present, especially when you have a ranking system. Students always talk about that. They're like, I'm not in the top 10, so I'm not going to get a good job. And I'm like, that's not necessarily true, know? And then you have attorneys who work their way up too. I think everyone's path is different, and obviously you're a testament of that as well. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And well, in law school, I'm sure you were exposed to different opportunities apart from those OCIs, apart from applying, it sounds like, to these different opportunities. But were you involved in any clubs, associations? How did you find community and feel a sense of belonging in a really, really difficult setting?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm trying to think if I was even a part of any extracurricular. I think I was part of, I think I was like South Asian Law Association or something, one of the, I forget the exact name. There was maybe another 1 or 2 that I was involved in as well. I forget, but they were a little bit more laid back. They weren't anything like law review or moot court or anything like that. I quite frankly didn't think I would even make it into one of those. So I actually just ended up not applying.
Do those usually require grades as well? Or
I think so.
Some do, or
I think one or both of those.
Okay.
Like, either mock trial. Maybe there's a course as well, but I think for law review, I think you actually have to make it on.
Oh, wow.
Based on merits. I could be wrong. Maybe someone will correct me, but I think at my law school, that's how it was. And I just, with my grades and everything, I just didn't think I was going to make it, because the students that I knew that were on there, they were, overachievers. They're getting
top of the top.
Yeah, they're getting excellent grades. They're steamrolling through law school. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, I am not steamrolling through law school. Just trying to survive, So that's where I was at. But my involvements outside of just like official extracurricular activities was that I just tried to make friends. I tried to find the genuine people that weren't too far into that elitism or the hierarchy of law school. And they cared less about that, and they cared a little bit more about relationships. That's who I am. I care about relationships more than pretty much anything else. So I found a really good couple of friend groups of people. I'd invite them over, they'd invite me over. We had a nice big group. And then towards the end of law school, I found another very genuine, great friend group that I still talk to this day. We always blow each other up on our group chat. All of our, I got trial coming up. What do you guys think about this or that? And we just share everything and help each other through things and refer to one another and whatnot.
And are they all in different states? And
they're all actually in Michigan. I think a few of my friends are now in other states too. I couldn't really pinpoint it, but all the close friends are all in Michigan still.
Gotcha. Do they ever go, we're going to go skiing with you, Mohammad? We're going to go visit you? Okay.
Yeah, they all say that. Only a few have visited so far.
Have actually come out?
Yeah. I think they will eventually though.
Okay, good. Yeah. Hopefully they're listening and they're like, okay, fine, we have to go. We're going to go check it out. That's awesome though. I think, relationships they're everything. it's going to help you find the balance that you need in law school. I know some people just kind of grind it out on campus, and then at 7 or 8 o'clock, they're like, I'm done. I'm clocked out. I'm going to go be with my family, or, you know, just go do yoga or run or whatever. I think you have to have some sort of activities to keep yourself grounded in a way, at least mentally and physically. So
I fully agree. I used to go to the gym and I would hang out with my friends, because if I didn't have my law school friends, I think there is a chance I maybe wouldn't have made it through.
Wow.
Just because that support was just so awesome. I mean, if I went to law school and had no friends there and all I did was study, I don't know, I might have made it through, but like I wouldn't really know. Going back, it probably would have been more depressing, a little bit tougher to get through without being able to bounce ideas off people. And, you know, professors aren't available to you 24/7, whereas your friends might be. You know, if one of your friends is doing great in a class and they're not selfish, they don't mind helping you, you could just... I'm not saying anyone that doesn't help is selfish per se, but, you know, this is, if you have those helpful friends, it's good to, it gives you that morale boost.
Yeah. And they're all suffering in the same way as you are.
Right.
I think there's also something to say about, you know, suffering together.
Yeah.
Because maybe you've got your family. I'm sure your parents were like, okay, Mohammad, like we got you, we're supporting you, but they're not in law school with you, right?
Yeah.
So there is I think immense value in having those friends that are sharing that same experience as you are. So
100%.
That's amazing. I'm glad you were able to have that support and kind of just group think mentality of, we got this, but it sucks right now, you know. But now you're practicing as a family law attorney. Tell us about that, how you ended up choosing, because we kind of briefly mentioned that you just did a Hail Mary in Utah. You said, okay, this is a really nice work-life balance. I like that I can go skiing, but I like that I've got the opportunity to litigate. How did you choose family law? And then what does your day-to-day look like?
So I fell into family law blindly, I guess I'll say again, or it was just completely random. I was just applying to all sorts of opportunities where I'd be able to litigate, and didn't really care where I ended up as long as I'd get into court. Yeah. And as long as I would learn how to litigate, whether that was criminal or civil, I didn't really care. So I started applying all over the country when I was in Michigan. My parents were moving to Texas, so I was kind of focusing a little bit more on Texas, because I was like, it'd be nice to live closer to them. Yeah. And so there's a few opportunities over there that I was hearing back from, not fast enough. And then Utah, I kept hearing back from firms a little bit quicker. So I went through like a whole cycle of interviews with a bunch of different firms here, and they were getting serious. So they wanted me to move forward. They wanted me to visit to see if I liked the state and to see if I'm serious about living here. Wow. And so I felt, you know, for once I was like, I'm like potentially this important, future big shot lawyer or whatever. Right. Wow. And so it made me feel good. And then they were like, let's make plans to have you visit and, you know, like book the flights and the hotels and all that stuff. And so I had never been to Utah before that. So I came over to Utah.
That was your first time.
First time to Utah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. When I landed in Salt Lake City and I look out and I'm like, oh my God, those mountains are beautiful. Yeah. You know? So that caught my eye, and then one of the partners from one of the first firms that I interviewed with came to pick me up, and I went straight to that firm and got to meet everyone, have lunch with them, went to a jazz game, you know.
Okay, I was going to ask, did they take you to a jazz game?
Yeah, I got the whole experience.
Top Golf? I feel like that's a big thing here too.
I unfortunately didn't go to Top Golf. I went to jazz, went to a couple of nice dinners with them, really got to know them, and then what ended up happening was there's another firm, the second firm that wanted me to go with them. We're up in Ogden. So they were like, you're already coming to Utah. Well, we wanted you. Yeah, we wanted you to visit too. So how about we extend your trip? You stay over here. We'll pick you up. And so that's what I did is after the first trip ended, they picked me up. Yeah. We went up to Ogden. And then I got the Ogden experience. So I got to go to the ski resorts that are like really close by. I think I went to Snow Basin when I was there. Okay.
Yeah, pretty.
Great experience. It's so nice. It was a really nice powder day. And then other than that, we went to some nice dinners and lunches and got to know the whole firm and everything. And I just fell in love with Utah because I got to see like the bigger city in Utah. Yeah. And then a smaller city. And I was like, I could see myself living here because I'm an outdoorsman. And then at the same time, there are these capable, good litigation firms like want me to come over here and learn from them, and I can get some really good hands-on training, mentorship, and experience. So that's kind of how I ended up here, and then in family law. And then my day-to-day in family law, I'm so happy I ended up in this practice area because I have court pretty much every week. And I have client interactions every single week, sometimes every single day. So if they want to come in and meet with me, they're going through really tough times in their lives, whether it's a divorce or a custody action, whatever it may be. I have the opportunity to kind of calm people's nerves, give them a game plan, give them a solid way to try to achieve their goals, and kind of hold their hand through the process. Whereas like when you work in corporate law or you have bigger clients of any kind, you're not really meeting with real people and helping real people. But in family law, I ended up, I'm dealing with grandmas, I'm dealing with moms, dads, the children indirectly. I don't really get to meet with the children, but you're helping the children in certain ways in a lot of these cases. So my day-to-day is like, obviously I do my drafting. I got to draft the motions. I got to draft the pleadings and all that stuff. But then on top of that, I have a lot of meetings, consultations, face-to-face interactions with people. And then when you go to court, it's very high stress especially for your clients. Yeah. Because they're,
it's daunting for them.
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know what to tell the attorney. I don't know what paperwork to fill out. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, emotionally, I'm sure you're helping them kind of ride that roller coaster.
Yeah, 100%. I think one of the biggest things is like, if you are confident, you kind of ease their nerves a little bit, because at the end of the day, they're either going against their ex-spouse or, whoever it may be, right? Whether it's for children or just their marital estate. And so it's already stressful. It's already someone that they maybe had a falling out with.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, their children might be on the line, their home, their assets, their everything, income, if we're talking about alimony. So everything is kind of like high stakes for them, right? Even if it's smaller on the scale, generally speaking, it means a lot to them. It can change their lives. So all of that stuff combined, family law is crazy. It's a roller coaster. Yeah. You get a lot of court time, you get a lot of meetings, you get a lot of mediations. You go negotiate, whether it's just for custody alone or if it's a whole marital estate, people, whatever they own, whatever assets, funds that they have to distribute, if it's considered marital. So it's just a big pool of stressful things for people.
Lots of action going on. If you could summarize family law, or maybe give us one phrase or word for family law, what would you bring it down to?
Okay, I'll do my best.
Yeah.
It's a little tough. I would say it's probably, and I could be wrong, but to me, it seems like the only practice area that includes and fully incorporates finances, so money, numbers, with family issues. So like custody issues, you got real estate, you have cryptocurrency, you have banking, you have accounting you're going through. I'm probably missing something here, but
yeah, it's hard.
Yeah, it's one of those practice areas where I'm almost like, is this one practice area or am I learning like 3 or 4 different practice areas every day? Because like before this, I've never gone through and figured out custody factors for a family. And then on top of that, I'm like, oh, let me go through 10 years worth of bank statements or figure out like where the money's going, where the money's coming from. So that's what I would say. I'd say it's the one practice area where you got all the numbers, you got all the finances.
And all the family.
It gets so complicated.
Wow.
So
do you ever feel like you could, if you could go back in time and start off doing family law, you would have done that instead of doing the corporate real estate route? Or is there something to say about the knowledge you gained there?
Yeah, I think I would say I truly, I know this is so like cliche, but
give it to me. Give us the cliche, Mohammad. We love it.
I think everything happens for a reason, right? You knew that was coming. You knew that was coming. I just think that if I didn't go through all of the other practice areas and really learn about them and figure out whether I like them or not, I wouldn't appreciate family law as much as I do today. I really appreciate family law. I love what I do. Every single day, it doesn't even feel like I'm working. Yeah, it feels a little stressful because there's important things on the line, but I'm like, I love helping people. I enjoy this kind of work where when you get a good result, you win for a genuinely just good, normal person in your community. It feels good. So I think if I didn't go through all those other things, I might be sitting here and be like, well, I've been in family law for this amount of years. I want to go try corporate, or I want to go try, contract law or something. And then I would find out the hard way that I want to come back. So I think my trajectory or my path took me the right way somehow. I just got lucky. I
was going to say, do you think you'd ever go back or try something else? You're like, no, family law is it for you.
I think family law is at least going to be my primary, probably forever. Okay. As of now, when I think about it.
Yeah.
Now, on the flip side, I actually pray that the world heals and then I don't need family law. If that's the reason I get kicked out of family law,
Good
I'm
reason.
so happy for. Yeah, I'm happy for the world. I'm out. I can go litigate somewhere else.
Yeah.
You know, because at least I have that transferable skill. But yeah, that's the only reason I'd want to leave family law. So if I get kicked out, I'll be happy for everyone.
Oh, yeah. I mean, hopefully, well, you'll probably go to another area of practice, but hopefully that never happens, that you can, but that people heal. So,
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's like good for society.
I know. But like, it's pros and cons.
Yeah.
No, but that's great. I mean, it sounds like it's never been something that's monotonous for you. You've got something going on every day.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you also have the opportunity to stretch. It's forming you in different ways and teaching you new things. And you have that mix of, I get to talk to people, but I also get to write and do my research and, really just focus in on something. And that's amazing. Is there something that you wish you would have prepared for in law school that you think would have helped you now in your practice area?
Yes.
I'm glad you said yes. I'm like, yeah.
I was thinking about this on the drive here. I was like,
really?
I was like, what was one thing I should have just really focused on more than the other things too? There's a lot of things you learn in law school that you'll probably never, ever need again. I genuinely believe that.
Yeah.
But then there's a few things where you should really go hard on them. Even if your grades aren't great, just try as hard as you can. And I can't say that I tried my best at these things, but there was a few writing classes where you were really like diving into case law and writing complex briefs or memorandums or whatever. And I feel like I did enough to pass, but there was so much other stuff going on with other classes and plans or whatever, where I maybe didn't put my 100% effort into those classes. I think that those writing classes where you're legal writing, you're writing briefs, memos, motions, whatever it may be, is probably, in my opinion, the single most important class in law school.
Sounds like it's practical.
Yeah, it just transfers over into almost every field. I mean, if you're going to litigate at all, or even be at like, I guess even if you were like in-house and you had to write some memos and briefs or whatever, just to a board or something, it's just so helpful. That class was, looking back on it, like if I could have focused 60% of my energy in that class and then divided the rest on the other classes that I might not have ever needed, that's what I would have done.
You would have, yeah.
Now I don't suggest like not paying attention to the other classes.
Like get your grades up,
Like there's one you really want to pay attention to and remember. It'd be that writing class.
Okay.
I would have taken more advantage of that if I knew how important it was.
That's really helpful. So hopefully people in law school right now are like, okay, I got to zero in, I got to dial in into my law class. That's awesome.
Right.
And okay, so, I think in law school, you read cases, you practice your writing. And you just said, I mean, law school prepares you in some way, but not to its fullest, the full capacity of what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day practice with your clients. I mean, you're dealing with people who have these really, really arduous cases, and it's also really taxing, I think, on you as well. And correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you've probably gone through different kinds of emotions. You said you were dealing with cases dealing with custody, with divorces, a whole cryptocurrency as well.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, I didn't even know that. But what is there, I guess, a case that has been the most impactful for you? What's one of the biggest lessons that you've learned as a result of being in this role as a family attorney?
Without getting into too much detail,
right? Of
I
course.
think most cases where because I feel less bad for adults than I do for the children.
Right.
So obviously I feel bad for the adults. Like sometimes one of the adults gets a bad deal or whatnot. And I'm like, that sucks. But they're an adult, they can handle it a little bit better.
Right.
Whereas like when the children get a situation where, there's a really bad parent, maybe a bad influence, maybe that parent is putting them out in front of like dangerous substances or other people that are dangerous.
Right.
That's like my number one concern. Whenever I hear something like that or domestic violence, and in that case, if it's like adults, okay, this is serious, we need to deal with it right now. Those are probably my most impactful cases. Now, the one type of case I'll say that I really think about and I'm like, this is the most impactful case probably that I've ever had or that I'll ever have, is this category of when both parents are not fit. When both parents aren't fit, you're in a tough spot. Because is there, are there grandparents that can kind of take over and help or no? Are there other people that have been caretaking for the children or not? So just to summarize that.
CPS usually gets involved.
And they don't do much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it.
I actually have I understand that with my sister. She's fostering kids right now, and that's yeah. So I do understand to some extent, but go ahead.
It's tough. Yeah, it's tough. They don't do much. So I think it's really important, like, for lawyers to really be aggressive with those kind of cases. I really do think that. I think there's very few times where you need to be aggressive, but domestic violence and the child's safety, you need to be aggressive. And I think that the most impactful cases I do are usually like, maybe for a third-party caretaker that has taken over the parental roles, trying to get them kind of like guardianship and custody. And I've been able to successfully do that so far for many serious cases. And I would say, number one, it's super hard to get third-party caretakers any kind of rights or custody. It's extremely hard. You really have to like go hard and litigate it and do everything you possibly can to apply pressure and try to use the system as best you can. Because parents always get that presumptive, like first right over the children. So if you're able to do that and take, let a child stay with a safer person or safer environment, that's probably the most impactful. And say secondly, someone maybe, aside from like the safety stuff, DV and the children's safety, I'd say the next most impactful thing would probably be getting a fair financial outcome for someone. Like if there's just a clear path of, maybe someone didn't treat the other person that well, or they didn't contribute that much financially, or they're kind of wreaking havoc on the marriage or whatnot. And then when it comes time for divorce, they're really trying to take advantage of the other person too. Like, let me just try to get every penny I can get out of them before we end this. I love getting a fair resolution for that person that was maybe a better partner through the marriage, or maybe worked harder for that, whatever it may be. Whereas sometimes the law is not that fair. Like the law itself and the plain language of it, without digging too far into the code sections and whatever else you can do, can be a little unfair. So I think if you dig into it and get a fair deal for someone like that, it's a very rewarding feeling. But that comes second. Safety first.
Safety first. Success right after.
Right.
I love that. And how do you, I guess, take care of your mental health as you're kind of going through those ebbs and flows of your emotional state, as you're helping people win, as you're helping children reach safety as well from these really just hard circumstances? How do you take care of yourself?
It's a good question. I haven't been in a position really where it's really taken a toll on me yet. I don't know if it will. The reason for that is I just try my best to take care of myself on the side. So when I get off of work, I'm still thinking about my clients, especially the ones that are struggling. I'm like, God, what can I do next for them? How can I help them out? But at the end of the day, I always take the time to go do something for me. And that one thing for me is that after work, even if it's at 7, 8 o'clock, whatever it may be, I go to the gym and I disconnect and I throw my music on.
Take out your frustration.
Yeah, take out my frustration. Even if it's like the worst workout ever, I don't care if I barely, I just go through the motions. It just feels good. It just feels good to just go do something for me. And then afterwards, I usually get back to work a little bit until a little bit of the later hours in the night. But I try to do that every day. And then on the weekends, I try to at least take one full day and just, that day is mine. I do whatever I want with it. Saturday, let's call it. I'm going to go ski. I'm going to go do whatever. I'm going to go fishing, paddleboarding in the summer. So I try to do those things. And so far, it seems like my mental health stays really good, stays very just naturally regulated. But when I get thrown off from that schedule, I notice that it starts to like creep up on you a little bit. Like if I miss the gym for 3 days because I have trial at the end of the week or something, I start to notice I'm sleep deprived. I haven't gone to the gym in 3-4 days. I haven't done anything for myself in 3-4 days, maybe ate out too. It starts to creep up on you. So I think the other stuff you're doing outside of work will naturally regulate you if they're healthy things. I think that's my guess. That's what I do whenever I can do it. It keeps me good. Whenever I fall off of that, then I start to let things get to me a little more.
You can notice the difference. And I think everybody has to find what works for them as well. But I do, the same thing happens to me. I'm like, because you've got to do something that's for you. And so I'm just really glad that you were able to share that. And hopefully those students who are either pre-law or, in law school, it's busy. Some people are married, some people have kids, some people are single but are going through maybe some mental health issues as well. And you have to find something that works for you, that you're able to, it sounds like, do something that's consistent. You're able to do that every single day. So, find it and use it. And I love that you shared that. So thanks so much. Is there, I guess, a defining moment for you that you had in your experience where you're just like, I'm meant to be here. I love, like, family law is it. We kind of brushed off that a little bit, but Was there kind of a defining moment? Or was it just been like, this feels right for me, I'm just going to continue because it feels good?
I'm trying to think if there was an actual defining moment. I know I had, I guess I will say there was a general time period where I had kind of defining moments over a few months. It was when I first got into family law, I was training. It was really hard for me. I was basically back in law school. I was learning all the codes and all the case law and all the different types of pleadings. I had no experience in family law, so I was like walking a fine line where this firm's trying to figure out, do I want to keep this, do I want to keep this guy or get rid of him, right? And it was very clear to me. It was made clear to me that, I was kind of walking a fine line. If I kept messing up or making mistakes, that they were going to let me go. And so,
oh wow,
yeah. But where I kind of was I guess my saving grace was as soon as I got done kind of training, I barely made it through like their little testing and. So they kind of knew that I at least knew the basics to go off and start off with some cases. When I started getting into court, I discovered a hidden talent, I would say. Like I just naturally was decent at going to court and convincing a judge or a commissioner of our position. So when I started going to court, I was really worried. I remember at first my voice was shaking. I'd be on the mic and my voice is shaking and I'm like sweating profusely. Yeah, that was definitely my experience the first few times, but they went really well and it just
no one talks about. So I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, I'm sure there are students who are like, I'm going to do great. They get there. My armpits are sweating, my forehead, palms, everything. So
yeah, no, it was so stressful, and I think that I got lucky that it went well the first few times. Yeah. To where I was like, I can do this, and the judge or commissioner said like, you did a good job, or they made a little comment or something. I'm sure they saw my bar number and like, this guy's brand new. Let's say, hey, you did a good job, or something. So trying to act like I knew what I was doing in front of the clients, but at the same time, I was prepared. I probably over prepared. It's just that my delivery was a little shaky, but that confidence boosts when I'd get back to the firm and be like, hey, it went really great, and everyone was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. Yeah, you delivered and you got it done. I think that was a defining moment for me and then the firm too, because they also started to realize through reviews and through clients being really satisfied with the service I was giving them. They're like, you are a people person. They're like, you may not have been the best at memorizing the code sections and all this other stuff, but you're a people person. You
getting us the client.
Yeah.
And that kind of loyalty aspect. And you're
right. But it's probably the success in court early on. And then secondly, when I would get new consultations, they were really, really highly likely to sign up. And I wasn't trying to be a salesman, but I was just trying to be genuine. I would ask them, how are you doing? Like, how are you feeling? How's everything going? How can I help you aside from the legal aspect? Like, if you want to talk to me, I'm here for you too. Like, I'm an attorney, but I'm also a counselor. And that's what the certificate says. We're not just attorneys, it's an attorney and counselor. So I would try to just actually care about people. I actually talk to them after court. How are you feeling? That may not have went perfectly. How are you doing? Yeah. Here's some next steps we can do to get to your goals. So with that, my retention rate was really, really high. So, I'd have months where I was retaining 100% of the new clients I would talk to. And so the firm was like, all right, you can sign people up and get results in court. Okay, we can let some things slide. Yeah, we'll let some things slide. Yeah, so that was probably like a 2-3 month period where my whole trajectory kind of flipped. So maybe to the students listening, find your thing, find your strength. It sounds like that you're a people person, so that's one of your strengths for sure. And it sounds like I think everybody has a strength, and sometimes it takes a long time for them to find it. It sounds like you were able to find it pretty quickly, which is huge. But what kind of advice would you give to law students, and maybe even just pre-law students as well, who are considering family law, but who might be a little nervous about, I think there are perceptions about pay, there are perceptions about emotional toll and work-life balance, although you did talk about that too, but what would you say to those students? Yeah, so I would say if you want to get into family law as an attorney, you got to be able to regulate people's emotions. So if you're not good at regulating people's emotions, or I should say not like a therapist, but helping people kind of walk through things, while also kind of pulling them back to reality, like, hey, I know you're feeling this way, but I got to tell you, here's what's happening next, or whatever, kind of roping them back in, because it can be a very emotional process. You have to be good at that. So you don't have to be their therapist, but you have to have some people skills to kind of keep people in a good mindset as you navigate through their cases. Secondly, I would say I think it's not a misconception in terms of the pay, but it depends on what state, I think.
Okay.
I've noticed in some states, family law is pretty low paying. Other states, it's really well paying. So I'd say in Utah, I think family law is really good paying.
Yeah.
I think I've seen, what other practice areas make, and then family law. And if you're at a good family law firm, I think you make about the same money. Awesome. But you have to do pretty well. You know, you have to like try and get there. And I think you can make.
I hope you're trying.
Yeah. I hope you try. You know, you'll get there, and I think, in my opinion, if you get good at one thing and you just try to keep getting better at that one thing, you can make as much money as any other practice area. In terms of the work-life balance, I would say I don't know about like a lot of the other practice areas, but from what it seems like when I have friends that are in kind of bigger law firms and, they have the bigger corporate clients, it seems like they're kind of working a little bit more. In family law, if you are taking a lot of cases and you're actually taking them to trial, you will work a lot, but you'll have some flexibility. If you're at a good firm that cares about work-life balance, you're going to be able to take as many trips as you want with your family, spend as much time with them, be at every dinner, not miss any of your kids' stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, you can really make it work. You can really make it work. So I'd say there's no concerns there. But at the end of the day, if you want to be somewhere where you don't go to court and you're not really in a high-stress environment, I don't know that family law is the practice area.
Yeah.
So if someone doesn't really like being in court and being in front of the judges, the commissioners, dealing with highly emotional people.
So valid. Not for you.
Yeah. Maybe just go try some other practice area.
Yeah.
But there are some attorneys I know of that, a firm has a very specific need and they just found their niche where they don't go to court. They don't do any of that, but they assist an attorney who heavily litigates all their cases. And so then they assist that attorney. And so they are an attorney. They can do all sorts of meetings, mediations. They can cover for some of the simpler hearings. Like you may not have to go, to the tough hearings and whatnot. So you might be able to find that. I know a few attorneys that have found that where they don't like court. They don't like all the high stress and the emotions.
Yeah.
But they found someone who needed their skills in other areas.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And it shows that there is a place for every kind of attorney for sure. And I think there is this misconception that, if you're an attorney, you fit into this one box and that's it. Both of your personalities are all the same, the kind of law that you practice is the same, but no, and there's obviously transactional litigation, but I feel like law is arguably this huge umbrella and can be a very interdisciplinary area of work, which it sounds like family law absolutely is.
Right.
So that is really, really helpful. Thanks for sharing that. And we've honestly reached the end of the podcast. However, I do want to ask one final question, then we'll do some rapid fire questions after this. Okay. One final question. If you could give one piece of advice to any individual who's getting ready to go to law school and who is trying to get the best job that they can while also working and living a happy life, right? What is your biggest point of advice for them?
I would say focus more on whoever the leadership is going to be, wherever you're going to go.
Yeah.
Focus on their character and their actual personality, who they are deep down, because I think that might matter more for your experience. Whatever practice area you go to is the people you're working with, the people that are going to influence you, train you. You're going to look up to them inevitably. And at the end of the day, you'll kind of see how they've lived their lives. Do you want to be like them? If you don't, maybe don't work under them and train under them.
Yeah.
So to me, character is the biggest thing. I would say be good at reading people and figuring out like maybe what their character is without them telling you expressly, because people can say one thing, but they're going to do other things. So I think if you get good at reading people, you'll always end up in the right place. That's just my wild guess.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten lucky. I think my dad's always read people well.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned people reading from him a little bit over the years. And then I think I'm developing that kind of skill as I move on. And it saved me. Yeah. It saved me from a lot of personal situations. Not working with people, looking back, that I'm glad I didn't work with them, things like that. So I think that's probably the most important thing. Everything else I think just comes.
Yeah.
Like if you're looking at pay, you're looking at like, balance in your life or whatever, I think that just comes naturally if you end up with the right people. Because I use that in the same thing in my personal life with my personal friends and whatnot. They're all the type of people I'd want to be with are the people that I'm around. Like I want to be like them. They might want to be like me. We're always pushing each other into a better direction. We're honest. We got each other's back.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the most important thing.
Character.
It's a very general rule.
Yeah. No, I love that. Character. Character and how you practice. Who do you want to be? Who do you want to continue to be? Who do you surround yourself with? So that's fantastic. And then we're here at the rapid fire questions. I'm really excited for these. Okay. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
What would me 10 years from now say about this exact situation? It's the best rule. I don't know if that's a rule, but that's how I live my life.
I love that.
Like me 10 years from now, I look at this right now. I got this.
Ooh, okay. 10-year rule. I love that. What is one goal you're determined to achieve in your lifetime?
Impact the broader community. I want to just be that guy the whole community can come to and they know like they're in good hands.
The it guy. Yeah, you're the it guy. Yep. Is there somewhere in Utah that you haven't visited yet?
Oh, I think Canyonlands. I've been to a few of them down there, but I haven't been to Canyonlands.
You got to go. Yeah. You got to go. They've got some really great hikes there.
Okay. I'll go there right away.
What's a book, movie, or show you've always recommended to people?
Yeah, I think this is probably not a super popular movie, but it's one that I've been watching since I was a kid. My brothers were always showing me it because they loved it. It's called Never Back Down.
Oh, okay.
And it's such a good movie about like overcoming what seemed impossible. I don't want to get too far into it, but basically someone had to work really, really hard to overcome something. And I know this is like a typical plot, but it's more in the fight scene. So it's like the MMA kind of scene.
Okay. So it's like an action film kind of thing going on. Okay.
Yeah, it's an action with a little bit of drama in there and whatnot. And the underdog takes a long time to train. And
we
he's
love
humble.
A good underdog.
Yeah. He's a good person, right? Good to people, backing people up and whatnot, and takes down the bully at the end. And so it's a really good overall movie. I wouldn't even just say like I've never been like bullied, but I'll say I use that for like the hard work, determination, because it takes a long time. You have no idea how it's going to end up, but you do have that goal at the end. So
I love that.
I love that movie.
That's amazing. What was it called again? Never Back Down.
Never Back Down. Yeah.
Never Back Down. Okay. Well, thank you so much. And then I have one last thing here. I'm going to ask if you can close your eyes real quick. Okay. So imagine the version of yourself in high school or early college. This is before you ever envisioned becoming an attorney. But if you could speak to that younger Mohammad, what wisdom would you offer him about the path ahead?
Don't stress. Don't overthink. Don't overcomplicate, because whatever plans you're going to make are going to change once you actually get in the arena. None of it really matters. You just got to be ready to adapt and take on whatever's right in front of you.
Wow. And you can open your eyes. So get in the arena.
Yeah.
Get in the arena. I love that. And what you've shared has really touched me, and hopefully those listening as well. Your family's played a huge part in who you are and who you continue to become. You've got a plethora of things going on in your life with family law, and it seems like you're handling it really, really well, and hopefully inspiring others to maybe take a little dabble and look at what family law can offer. But thank you so much. No, thank you so much for sharing your story and your insights with us today. And to everyone listening, this has been Mohammad Khan, and this is the Euclid Legal Lounge. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.